So Tamir, we're going to start this in kind of a couple different phases here. First we're going to talk about the brokerage, then we'll keep going as is. So first question for you, and this is about the brokerage. So you've recently said that the brokerage was our starting point, but the platform is our destination, and that you've never set out to build a better brokerage, but to reinvent the model entirely. Can you kind of explain that and explain what your vision is for Real in the future?
Sure. Wow, that's a big question. First of all, how's everybody doing?
We're good, thanks.
Great. Um, so yeah, when we started Real, we just wanted to find ways to make agents' lives better, and that was back in 2014. And I think that this is still what's leading us. This is why we wake up in the morning. This is why we spend all of our energy on always finding ways to make your lives better and creating more opportunities for you. While we're doing that, we also realize that if we want to serve you in the best possible way, we need to find ways to serve your buyers and sellers in the best possible ways, and try to create an unfair advantage for each and every one of you. Because to be honest, the brokerage industry is archaic. The way people are buying and selling homes hasn't changed much in the past couple of decades. So we thought about the different steps that a buyer, for example, takes when they're buying a home. So it involves all of the brokerage relationships, everything that they do with you. It involves lending. It involves in Canada, it's conveyancing, all of the appraisal, all of those things that people have to deal with when they're buying a home. And at the end of the day, they don't care about all of those steps. What they want is the home that they want at the price that they want at the time that they want. And this is what we need to be delivering. But instead, the industry is built as silos. Lending doesn't talk to brokerage. Brokerage doesn't talk to other things. So I think that if we look at a coherent experience for buyers and sellers, for consumers, we need to build something that works better for them. And that something is a platform where they can find all of the real estate services that they need, whether they're buying or selling, obviously centered around their relationship with the agent. But this is what we want to build. And nobody has built it before. People were trying to, glue mortgage and brokerage, or in the US title and brokerage, but nobody tried to build an end-to-end experience. And I know that it's difficult, but at the end of the day, we need to find a way to make all of those pieces work in harmony, with no friction, because we need to create a frictionless transaction for people. So that's what we're trying to build. It's going to take a few years, but I think that we will be leading the way when it comes to not just building a brokerage, but building a platform of real estate services.
And right now in the States, if we're looking at like traditional brokerages, the Anywhere Group, Remax, right now they're accumulating massive debt. Margins are thin, or in some cases, probably right now underwater. You've got brokerage wars that are going on almost every week. There's a new announcement if somebody's partnered with somebody to kind of, team up. Do you think we're approaching a real consolidation moment in the industry, and how are you looking at Real's role within that environment?
Wow, you're asking big questions this morning. So, I mean, you touched on debt, and we have to understand where the debts come from for each and every one of those companies. For Remax, for example, the debt was in place because they wanted to acquire some regions from folks who own them. So I'm not sure that all traditional brokerages have debt, and not all debt were made similar. But we need to understand the big picture of what's happening in the US, because I don't know if the same is happening or will happen in Canada, but it's a scary moment. It's a scary moment because I think that what's happening is that Compass is confusing everybody with taking steps that might look like they're, I don't know if insignificant. All of that discussion about coming soon or preview or whatever you want to call it, it's just a way to try and create data fragmentation. And I'll try to explain. Compass is a brokerage, and brokerages have thin margins. Compass gross margins, for example, are 17 to 18%. Zillow, on the other hand, has an 80% gross margins, so super high margins. But what Zillow does is they monetize data, and that data is pretty much listing data. And listing data is handed over to them free of charge. So the agents that have a listing upload it to the MLS then they give it to Zillow and other portals free of charge, and then those portals monetize that data with 80% gross margins. What Compass has seen is that, hey, we can take control of that data that we own, that our agents own, and maybe try and monetize it like Zillow does, or at least participate in the economics. Now, what Compass was trying to do a couple of weeks ago is just say, hey, coming soons are now going to be on Redfin, and we are going to participate in the economics on those leads that are generated out of those coming soon. But that breaks the hegemony that has been in place for years between MLSs and NAR and agents. Now, all of a sudden, it's not just one path of agents uploading to the MLS and the MLS then showing. And by the way, MLSs have a coming soon feature as well, which is also shared with Zillow. So Compass is slowly breaking that bond between NAR, MLSs, and agents in a way that will allow them to one day come and say, hey, we're big, we have 25% market share. In some regions, we have more than 25% market share. If you want our data, you now have to pay us for that data. And I think that that's the big thing that is going on behind the scenes. It's not a race to who's gonna launch the best partnership when it comes to coming soons. It's about who can dominate market share to have leverage over the portals. And that is a strategic change, which, by the way, I don't think is good for consumers, and it's not good for agents. It's good for agents if Compass were to say, hey, every dollar that we will receive from Redfin or from Zillow or from whoever uses the listing data that you, our agents, provide us, we give you a portion of that. And it doesn't matter if it's 20% or 80%, but the agents could monetize their own data. Compass is not doing that yet. It's bad for the consumer because what will happen is a situation like exists in Europe, that if I'm a buyer and I wanted to understand all of the available inventory in a certain market, the MLS will no longer be enough. I will need to go to compass.com, OneReal.com, exp.com, remax.com, all of the MLS, and only then I will have a picture of what's available, but also a lot of inventory that is expired, that is just never been on the market, a lot of websites that will appear that will just show listings that are not available. It will be a really bad experience for the consumer. So I think that we are at a point in time, and I'm sorry that it's a long answer, but I'm quite passionate about it. I think that we're at a point in time where things might go in the wrong way for consumers and for agents. And Real intentionally decided not to participate in everything that has been going on in the past 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And you can rest assured that everybody was chasing us. Everybody wanted us to be a part of their camp. We're the 5th largest brokerage in the US right now. Everybody wanted to say that, hey, Real also signed that agreement. But I think that it would be a mistake on our part to focus on that very narrow tactical thing of coming soons, which represent 2 or 3% of the market, and tie ourselves in a partnership and exclusive relationship with somebody, while the more interesting thing that is going on is how can we create a future where if MLSs are no longer the one source of truth and data for listings, how can we be a significant player, and how can we create opportunities for our agents because of that size? Hopefully more to come, but we're not ignoring what's going on, even though we're silent.
I've noticed in some of the other calls that I've been on that you've hinted at some information or some change coming or some sort of real announcement. Is there anything that you can give us further details, or am I reading too much into maybe this conversation?
No, I think
No?
I think you're probably reading too much into it.
Yeah.
I can just say that, we are working on things, and if we wanted, we can turn on a switch, and overnight we will have, coming soon website and a coming soon partnership. It could be with either one of those 2 or 3 sides, but I just try and focus on the bigger picture at the moment.
I've read a lot of people, I think more influencers, and it's for click, talk about, in 5 years, in 3 years, whatever, that there will be 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 brokerages left, and we're all kind of consolidating right now for a lot of reasons, margins being obviously a big one. We obviously are a rev share company and agent led in terms of attraction, but do you see an opportunity, or do you see a possibility of us being somebody that acquires and starts to accumulate brokerages through acquisition?
I'm not sure I support that vision of, 2, 3, 4, 5 large brokerages and that's it, because there will still be room for local brokerages, for boutique brokerages. I think that they will still be a significant part of the market. I do agree that the mid-sized players will struggle to survive, and we identified that trend a couple of years ago. By the way, it came from our conversations with brokerage operators, folks that run brokerages that are 500 agents, 1,000 agents, sometimes above that clearly said that strategically they don't see a future for their business in the next 10 years. So yes, we are looking at opportunities. I don't think that slowly rolling up 200 agents, 500 agents as an acquisition strategy makes sense for us. We are looking at bigger things. And by the way, a little bit behind the scenes, everybody's talking to everybody. So even the most unreasonable combinations are also being discussed, just floating ideas. But I think that what we have, which is different from everybody else, we have the growth and the technology, and that translates into better valuation. So let's say we acquired or merged with a company that had no growth. All of a sudden that name had growth in it because Real brought the name. But more importantly, due to reason, we can process transactions very efficiently at a very low cost. And if you're a brokerage that processes a lot of transactions and you need to become more efficient and you want to improve your profit margins, then embedding our technology is probably the right way. So what I'm trying to say is that we are in a really good position right now, and we're cautiously looking at our options and calculating our steps.
Awesome. Thank you. We've talked a lot about the brokerage as a whole macro. Let's talk a little bit about Real in Canada. So Canadian agents don't, obviously, for a multitude of reasons, mostly because of our financial laws, don't have some of the compelling revenue tools. It's a question I get asked quite a bit. The debit card, mortgage, title, these are three kind of things that we talked a lot about. And it's a big focus for the brokerage because the margins are so good in the US. Is there any update you can give us on those three in terms of the Canadian market and eventually getting one of those or two or three of those in Canada?
I'll start by saying that I wish there was a way for me to show you my calendar for you to understand how much time I'm actually spending on Canada versus the US, because I don't think it's proportionate to the business. Because we do want Canada to grow and succeed, and we want you guys to be happy. As you said, there are different rules, different regulations in Canada, and things are just more expensive. So let's talk about the wallet, for example. We launched the lines of credit first in Canada because that was possible for us. The checking accounts and the debit cards or even credit cards to do that in Canada, and we've talked to probably every possible partnership from the banking side, is just so costly that we need huge volume in order for that to make sense. Or I'll put it differently. If we launched the bank accounts and the debit cards right now, or credit cards in Canada right now, we will be losing a lot of money on a monthly basis. So we need the scale in order to go ahead and launch that. On the mortgage side, I know that Katie is looking for solutions. Obviously, title does not exist over there, so that's not an opportunity. But I know that Katie is looking for solutions as well. But if you have other ideas on launching a new product in Canada that we will build just for you, just tell me. I would love to do something just to show you that we're trying. And maybe we should do more communications around, hey, we talked to these companies, those are their offerings, those are the costs. Please understand, this is what we're looking at. And don't get me wrong, we are fine with losing money for a certain period of time to launch a product until it gets going. But I think that when we're analyzing some of the things that you mentioned at our current agent base in Canada and the current volume, it will just be losing money no matter what we do. So we're trying to find ways to make it happen. But that's my sincere answer.
One thing I can suggest now that you're on the call, and we've talked about it at both lab in US and Canada lab, is getting our real signature involved with Korea and our web forms. Web forms is cross Canada. So it's one service across Canada. I know it's hard in the US because there's different states, and then and so you to put web real signature in all those is it's just too much of an endeavor. This isn't, because it is just asking one association. So it's something that we're talking about in lab with Canada, but it's something that I can bring up to you of if there's something that you guys think this would be a great one, because it moves the needle not only for people that understand cloud-based brokerages, but if we can say to traditional brokerages, hey, we have our real signature and web forms, and this is how it integrates. So all of our forms integrate into Real Reason. That's a very handy attracting tool for the brokerage, I think, and every agent will see it in their web forms. So it's something we can talk offline about, but that would be a great thing to have involved. Okay.
Noted, by the way. But this doesn't go into revenue generating opportunities for you. It's just it goes to the level of service, or smoother transaction process.
It's an attracting tool, I think, more than anything else, because that would make everybody's business very streamlined through rep forms. Okay, so sticking on Canada here, obviously we're a relatively small footprint. Saskatchewan is the latest expansion. We have the Maritimes on the horizon. Obviously, I sit on both the Canadian leadership and U.S. leadership boards, and I see structural differences between the two countries and how we operate. One of the major hot things that you've done lately is hire Dusty Ogilvy and Jason Cassidy to step into meaningful executive roles, from agents to executives at Real. As Canada matures, do you see a path to Canadian agents stepping into executive or managerial roles at the company to further build Real in Canada?
I don't think that where the person resides is what drives us in hiring. I live in Israel. I'm Israeli. So we're not necessarily looking for people who live in the US when we're looking for talent. I think that it's just based on talent. And I can tell you that I was interviewing someone who lives in Canada for the president role, and it didn't really matter that he's Canadian. It's just, we're looking for talent, and it doesn't matter where the talent resides. So to your question, of course, if we find that person, we would love to hire them.
Because you brought it up, I thought I'd kind of now shift gears a little bit. How are you looking at leadership right now in Real? Obviously, Sharon left some pretty big shoes to fill. Are these appointments that you're doing with the agents, are they Is that to fill that role, or are you still looking at a president role eventually?
Well, Sharon is a unicorn, and he cannot be replaced. And he has great talents. And as you said, those are big shoes to fill. At the same time, we also have to acknowledge that Sharon was a part of our journey for 2 years and 3 months, and the company has been around for 12 years. So we need to put things in perspective. I think that we have an amazing leadership team, and we're trying to strengthen it all the time. So yes, we added Jason, we added Dusty, we added Ken to the board as well. I've been looking for someone who could be a president of Real for a long time now, since Sharon, decided that he's transitioning to the board. It's tricky because you have to find someone who is a consensus, somebody who's extremely talented, somebody who's well-known, somebody who can pour into agents, somebody who's available and not constrained by previous non-competes, which in most cases they are, and somebody who has our DNA, somebody who wants to work hard and has a kind heart. And those individuals are extremely rare. And sometimes when you find them, there are some other hurdles. I can tell you that we're willing to go a long way to bring in a talent or that type of talent, but the ones that we identified, we're not in a position to come over. So I'm still hopeful. At the same time, I also am very confident in our ability to deliver, regardless of if we do or do not have a president. We have a very strong team, a very strong leadership team, and we're trying to continuously strengthen it. But having a president would be a nice thing.
We've seen growth, regardless. I think the momentum from, since Sharon's been gone a year now, I believe, or pretty close to a year, or I guess it's June of last year. So he announced around this time, but in June of last year, he left. I think the momentum of attraction has continued to the brokerage to this day, seeing how we've still almost every month announcing another 1,000 or so members. So
yeah,
great to see.
So I'll just give you some perspective. In 2023, we added about 5,000 agents. In 24, we added 10,000, and I'm talking net of churn. So 10,000 in 2024, 7,700 in 2025. And I think that this year we'll do anything between 5,000 to 10,000. And we also have to remember that in 2025, there was a lot of churn in the industry. So 7,700 in 2025 is not 7,700 in 2024. So yes, there's momentum. And it's thanks to all of you and your hard work and the fact that you are out there and pitching the story to others, and the fact that we have a great platform and a great offering that we're confident in. But we need to continuously push, and I think that growth doesn't just happen. We need to keep pouring more gas on the fire. But I just think that the fact that we continued to grow in those very challenging years when everybody else was losing agents or just flat in terms of agent count, that's a testament to the community of agents that we have here and the value of the platform itself.
So let's pivot a little bit to the stock. We have a group chat of about 300, 400 agents and when the stock goes way up, we talk about it. When the stock goes down, we talk about it. We have other people with questions about the stock. So Real in 2025 hit 2 billion of revenue. That's a 56% year-over-year increase. At what point does this story shift from we're scaling to we've arrived? And then what does arriving look like to you? What does the, is it financial? Is it agent count? Is it tech? Frame that for us and how you think about arriving and, being there.
The funny thing that investors change their interest based on the period. So sometimes they're interested in growth, sometimes they're interested in profitability, sometimes they're interested in gross margins. I'll say something general about the stock. And I spend probably 30-40% of my time talking to investors and analysts. So, working for the stock. What changed between 6 months ago and now is only the sentiment in the market. It's still the same company, the same trajectory, the same offering. Everything is the same or even better. What changed is the sentiment in the market. And now there's a strong negative sentiment towards real estate, towards software companies. We are in the middle of all this. And sentiments can change in the other direction. And it can change very quickly. And it will. That's the nature of markets. So just remember that, because even for me, sometimes it's difficult to go to sleep at night and feel relaxed about, we've got this. I think that we have not arrived. We are far from arriving. There is a long way in terms of growth. There's a long way in terms of working on our gross margins and adding ancillary services that can, change the pattern of profitability. But as you started by mentioning that we grew revenue by 56% in 2025, which is by far the most impressive growth that any of our peers demonstrated, we also, in terms of profitability, we went from a loss of $28 million, a net loss in 2024, to a net loss of $8 million in 2025. So we not only grew, but we improved profitability dramatically. And by the way, there's a difference between adjusted EBITDA and net profitability. I won't get into that. But in the most difficult year in the past 3 decades, to do such a great job on profitability and on growth, this is something that in a normal market, everybody will be cheering us for that. And the stock would skyrocket. But those are not normal times. And I think that what we can do right now is focus on what we can control, on the execution, put our heads down, continue to execute, continue to grow, continue to try and work on our margins, continue to work on the profitability, continue to be more efficient. And then the stock one day will reward us. It can be in a month or in a year or maybe in 2 years, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, I look at this time as a positive in a way, because I'm thinking, well, I'm buying now stock because of the macro environment at a $2-3 price point, versus if things were, let's just say, even normal, we may be looking at a 5-6. So, it's the old adage, buy low, sell high. It's so simple to do, but when the stock's fluctuating, there's obviously trepidation or concern. So one thing I found you said that was really interesting, it was on the Q4 earnings call. You talked about profitability is largely a strategic choice for Real. Can you give these agents/shareholders some context on that?
Sure. I'll mention 2 big things. We have One Real Mortgage and One Real Title. Those 2 businesses lost a little over $6 million in 2025. So our net loss was $8 million, almost 100% attributed to our ancillary services. In addition to that, our R&D budget, our tech development budget is around $20 million, a bit above that, because we invest in technology. We can decide not to invest in technology, just maintain what we have here, invest $4 or $5 million a year, and all of a sudden you have an additional $15 million to your budget. So if you take the ancillary services and the R&D, we could have been profitable. It has been a choice. It has been our choice to invest in those services that we believe will be massively profitable in the future, and invest in technology that we believe will be very valuable for our agents in the future. But at this point, profitability is a choice.
Before we move on, Connor Kelly, you have a question about this stock.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
So if I look at EXP's stock, their stock is down basically since inception. So anyone who's ever owned the stock almost at any point in its time is now down at a time when agent count has basically 40x. And I think that's because they dilute their stock with stock reward programs and the icon reward and everything, right? And we do the same thing here. So I guess my question is, there will be a day where maybe Real isn't growing as fast anymore on the agent count side. Are we going to be able to grow enough with our ancillary services and the banking side to basically, I guess, create enough demand for the stock, even though we're diluting it, to continue pushing up the stock price? And secondly, this might be a difficult question to answer, but like EXP, basically what they're doing now is they're doing share buybacks because their agent count is declining. And is that like, does that not kind of turn into a Ponzi scheme at some point? Like, can that not blow up if you don't actually increase your revenue, because you're just, if they can't be profitable enough to actually buy back the shares and they have to stop buying them back, then you just have more supply of those shares growing every quarter. So I guess the first question is, can we create enough demand for the stock with our ancillary services? The second question is, what happens to EXP stock if they can't find another way to increase revenue outside of just growing agent count?
A lot of companies are now buying back their stocks because they believe it's priced very well, and those companies have cash. So the best investment that a confident company can do is buying back their stocks. So I don't think it has anything to do with a Ponzi scheme. It just has to do with, just them managing their balance sheet and equity. And I think that it's a good decision. By the way, we are also buying back stocks, our own stocks. I don't think that there's a correlation between lack of growth to buying back stocks. I think that, they're trying to deliver value to shareholders, and obviously if you're buying back stocks, you're decreasing the number of outstanding shares, and every share that remains is just becoming more valuable. But that's kind of something that a lot of companies are doing, and there's nothing wrong about that. When it comes to Real, I think I forgot the first question. I'll try to.
Ancillary services will they create enough of a margin of growth? Yeah.
So investors are looking for good companies, and there are growth investors who want to see growth north of 20 or 30%, and there are value investors who want to see growth of 10% or up. I think that if we are able to demonstrate that we are building a company that people will want to partner with or in, and it doesn't matter if the growth is coming from agent count growth or ancillary services or all of the above, there will be demand for the stock. So I think that this is what we need to continue and do. And yes, maybe growth will slow, but then growth will come from agent count growth will slow, but growth will come from other ways. There are many ways to monetize real estate transactions. That's what we're trying to do. But we need to create a business that people will want to pay money to become a part of. And that's what's important here. And this is what we're trying to do. And by the way, as to your reference to EXP stock, there were people who made money in EXP stock in the past. And I believe that there will be people who will make money in their stock again. But if you look at their chart, yes, it went high up in 2019, 2020, 2021, maybe a little afterwards as well, and then it started declining. And I think that they just have to find a way and to find an exciting story, and the stock will react. So hopefully that answers the question.
So you've built something here with Real that's genuinely kind of disrupted a traditional industry. I think all kind of cloud-based. We're still new, I think, in terms of just agents understanding or conceptualizing a cloud-based brokerage in the industry. What's the hardest part that you found about being right too early?
Being right too early. I think that we came in with somewhat a naive perception that if we create a strong offering, that will be enough to draw all of the agents to us. And by the way, I'm talking to a lot of investors, and very often they're telling me, hey, you're in an 85-15 split and a 15K cap in Canada, and others might be at a higher cap. Why aren't all agents with you? And it's really difficult to explain to people that for agents, it's not always about the splits, not always about the caps, not always about the technology, not always about, it should be a whole package. And even if you believe you have the perfect package, somebody else might think differently. And somebody else might stay in their brokerage because of some relationship that they had for 20 years, and that's okay. So I think that the thing that was a little bit difficult for me is the understanding that that decision of switching brokerages is hardly logical. It's hardly ever logical. It's a combination of logical, economic, emotional, a lot of things, and you just have to accept that, because that's the nature of our business. So for me, that was the challenging part.
Yeah, I think we can all, anybody that's done any sort of attracting in the company kind of feels that same way. Like when we do a comparative analysis, even if you just had to paper and pen it, of, okay, here's what we have over here, and then you tell me what you've got over here. I find most of the conversations are, my page just keeps going on writing, and theirs kind of stops at a certain level. But to get their head wrapped around, this company as a cloud-based brokerage and what that means to them and their business is not simple as just having more opportunity for revenue over here. So it's very interesting to get involved with that environment, but I do believe that there's a tipping point eventually where people, because the model, and this is what you talk about, and this is what we talk about inside Lab as well, like we want cloud-based brokerages to see, we want to see success within the industry, because the more we see success, the more we prove that the model actually does work, and it's better for agents and their clients. But if there's this, but it's slow. Like it's not as simple as just, oh, well, there's just so much more over here, let's just go over here. So it's been an interesting to agree with you. It's been an interesting process for me to see that and not see it just, oh, well, why wouldn't everybody be over here?
Yeah.
Shine?
Hey, Tamir, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. I just wanted to kind of touch on something that Adam said with the real signature. Just you were talking about creating potential revenue in Canada. So with web forms, the two programs, DocuSign and AuthentiSign, it is membership or monthly subscription or annual subscription. I know Real Signature is something we're providing to agents for free, but I know you made a little note there, so maybe that's something you can look at if we're integrating it with web forms, because it allows us to literally take the file, load it into AuthentiSign, DocuSign, get signatures, comes back in there. So it's really seamless. And a lot of agents, myself included, that's really the primary reason I still use that program and software and pay the annual fee. So just wanted to maybe add that to what Adam has already talked about.
Okay, we'll look into that. In the US, we have some things that have to do with ownership over data, copyrights and all of that. So I'll have to see how it works in Canada. I'm sure, by the way, that Jenna is already on top of it. Because you probably heard about it before.
Okay, so last question from me, and then I'm going to open it up to the group. So if you've got questions, please feel free to raise your hand or just unmute yourself. And this is more kind of a personal one, I guess, is what does success look like to you, not just for the company, but for you personally within this company? Where do you envision yourself feeling successful about where Real is at?
I feel like we are succeeding and we're winning. And I love winning and I'm competitive, even though you might not see that on me. But I would say, I think that we have a true shot at becoming the most valuable real estate company or real estate technology company in the world. Because the opportunity exists, the market is there. We're at a point in time where technology can allow us to move faster and dream bigger. So for me, success is feeling like the opportunities that exist out there have materialized in real. And that translates into the agent offering value to agents and value to consumers. And I think that we're still not there. There's still a lot of work to be done. But this is an exciting time. And I think that the next couple of years will be extremely exciting in many different fronts. By the way, we have over 100 people on our team that are product/development people. A year ago, 100% of the code, the actual code, software that was written at Rio was written by those people. Now, 97% of the code is written by AI. It's just mind-blowing to think how quickly we went from doing things manually to relying on AI. And that enables us to move faster, to execute faster, to come up with ideas almost overnight. Pritesh and I constantly do things that are just, extremely fascinating. We haven't delivered them to everybody yet, but I think that it's just an amazing time to live in or to build companies in. At the same time, the same opportunities exist for others. Maybe not as strongly as in our case, just because we own a tech stack that we can leverage to offer more and more services, while others cannot integrate to systems like we have. But I think that the pace of innovation and what you feel as an agent and what your clients are going to feel when they're working with you is going to accelerate dramatically.
We haven't kind of gone into the tech as much, although maybe that's a good place to follow up on that. So OpenClaw, the speed of where AI is developing right now, the user-friendly ability of where AI is developing, we right now as Real have a huge competitive advantage because of the model that you've built, which is we own all the tech and we're constantly developing it. But as the tech becomes more user-friendly, does that take away our competitive advantage, or would that enhance our competitive advantage because we can move on the foundation that we've built already quicker?
I think it enhances our competitive advantage, for sure. I think that we will be the first to introduce pretty much everything. Some people are introducing things just, with buzzwords, but they don't actually work, or they don't work as well, or they just don't deliver on the promise. And I think that we will be at the forefront of AI related innovation in real estate. And you mentioned OpenClaw. We've been playing with OpenClaw for a long time right now. It's pretty amazing to see what's the capabilities over there. Everything that has to do with lead nurture, this is something that Real will just probably destroy everybody else. So what you will need to do is focus on creating leads or creating new relationships, and Leo will be able to nurture those relationships to a point where they're ready to transact. So we want to be able to do all of that in order for you to become more productive at the end of the day, utilize every minute of the day in a much better way, and just be able to close more transactions and make more money. That's what it's going to translate to.
So if you're an agent, where would you spend knowing what you know about what's coming with Real and how, especially with lead generation, where would you focus your time? Would it be like building databases that you can implement into Hey Leo? Like, where would you, set yourself up well based on what Hey Leo's got coming and what you guys are building?
I would focus on top of funnel. So anything that can increase my database, I don't know how to call it, but anything that can grow my database, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then I will also work on perfecting my process. So how do I take that person from the time they're saying, hey, I'm interested in selling my home, or I'm interested in buying a home, to closing, just create a very seamless process for them in tandem with Leo at some point. But right now, I think that Leo can really help you convert leads. And if you know how to generate leads, then Leo will be there to help you and save you a lot of time.
So my understanding is with how you've beta tested it on the back end, you had mega teams putting in their Zillow contacts into Reason, Hey Leo, and then them nurturing and churning, basically a nurturing system throughout the process, where maybe they kick out a lead and go, well, the Johnsons are ready because they're on this search all the time now. You might want to reach out to them. Is that what you see coming for us? How did that process go in the back end? What was the feedback on that? Did you see deals coming from that nurturing? What happened with that?
So we started with that just a few weeks ago, and there were two different routes. One was we went to some of our teams and said, hey, just give us your CRM dump. Just give us all of the contacts, every information that you have about any person in that CRM. Leo will figure it out. Leo will understand the context. Leo will understand what each person was looking at. Leo will understand the nature of each conversation, and Leo will create a dedicated outreach to that specific lead. So that was route number one. Number two was we also asked them to create a new campaign where all of the leads will be funneled to Leo. Instead of the agents needing to reach out to the lead, Leo was reaching out to the lead. And this is resulting in a few transactions that are in the pipeline. And by the way, the CRM route, those were really old leads, folks that nobody has reached out to, people haven't been in touch with them for a couple of years, and Leo just created opportunities out of nowhere, out of pretty much dead leads. So that's exciting. We still don't have sufficient data to say, hey, there's a 1% conversion or 3% conversion, but there are transactions in the pipeline, and that's encouraging.
So we talked about it at Christmas, and I think I put in our group chat, if you're going to be doing anything, build up a database right now based on what Haley is doing. So that's, I think, still to this day makes sense. Build your databases right now, because the way that Leo can nurture that process will be, I think, I hate using the word game changing because everybody uses the word game changing, but let's just call it game changing for lack of a better term. So do we have any other questions from the group? Anybody want to open up, ask Tamir questions? We've got about 10 minutes left. No, wow, we've stunned them all with our questions. So we've got about 9 minutes left. I'll continue because I've got a couple more general questions here for you, and then we'll let you go. So let's just go on the technology side of things. Where, in terms of Hey Leo, where are we at in terms of rolling it out to everybody? I know Pratesh has been on a couple different Zooms lately, and I know there's probably a huge backlog, huge demand. Do you know where we're at in terms of the tech rollout and what people should be doing right now in order to get themselves in line for their website and their phone number?
Yeah, we have to remember that this is still a beta version of Leo. This is not where Leo needs to be. This is us coming to you and saying, hey, Leo is available in a beta mode. Please help us make it better. Please test it. Please use it. Please give your clients a shot at using it and give us feedback. We are learning from every conversation that Leo is having. If you're interested, just go to Reason. You can apply and be added to the waiting list. We have a few hundred agents that are already using it. We have a long list of people that are waiting. We are connecting more and more MLSs. Canada is available. We have about 200 and something MLSs in the US that are already covered by Leo. But again, this is a beta version, and maybe it wasn't clear at the beginning when Pritesh was announcing it on his Instagram. But every conversation, every interaction makes Leo better, and and hopefully within a few weeks or a couple of months, Leo will be available, not in the beta version anymore. We also released the phone numbers, so Leo is available in a dedicated phone number that you can opt into, your dedicated URL, and I think that it's a matter of days until we launch the QR codes to be put on your for sale signs. So you will have a dedicated QR code. If somebody is driving by a listing, they can scan the QR code. Leo will provide them a presentation of the property, and Leo will be able to start a conversation with them so that lead doesn't go to waste. And Leo is also creating a database in the background, the AIRM, which will also be released shortly. So for now, you can look at the conversations, but all of the AIRM capabilities are still not in place. And I think
okay. And I would say with the technology, before I get to Craig, Real gets you pretty much 80% of the way there, especially with the AI stuff. But it means that the agents have to kind of use the tech, give feedback, work with Real to get the extra 20%. So that we've got a product. So right now we've unleashed, like in my opinion, an 80%, and we just need to use this and have our friends, family, people that we trust using this to make it better, and eventually it will get there. I know what it was like with Leo when we first launched it 2 years ago, and now where it's at today, vast difference, much better. And so just use it. Don't, it's not the end all be all right now, but use it more, and the more you use it, the better it will be. Greg?
I think Lena had a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. If Lena, well, I'll go ahead. Good morning, Tamir. With everything, I have a two-part question actually. With everything going on in the world, rates, tariffs, wars, as the CEO of one of the fastest growing companies in North America, in the world, what would you say? How do you maintain clarity? What would you say is the top three things that you're focusing on for Real this year? And the second part of that question is, what would your advice be for all of your agents in terms of maintaining clarity? And what would you say would be the top three things agents should focus on this year?
There's a lot of noise right now, coming from all different directions. I think that I have a good way of disconnecting from noise. And if we keep telling ourselves, hey, the sun will shine tomorrow morning and everything's okay and our family's okay and we have our business and it might be going well, it might not be going well, but we know exactly what's going on, and what's happening in the Middle East does not affect us, and gas prices are going to come down because that's how markets react. Everything's okay. We're healthy, and we need to focus on the things that really matter. And this is how I'm trying to kind of focus myself on what's important. A few things that I'm focused on this year. I'm focused on ancillary services internally at Real. I focused on growth, and I'm always focused on understanding what our agents need in order to be able to build long-lasting businesses for the next 10 and 20 years. So I'm always trying to think very, very, very long-term. And I would encourage everybody in terms of your businesses to also ignore the current noise and waves that are coming from different directions, and think about your business in terms of very long-term. It's challenging because bad markets typically, they go sour and then they become great again. And it happens quite quickly. And I think that what's different right now is that the change is happening very, very slowly, and we might not even be feeling it. So it's very difficult to think that, to become pessimistic in that situation. But the only thing we can do is continue to do the things that worked for us in the past, that are still working for us to some extent right now. It might be 70% working, just because the market is not great, or 50% working. But let's remember, this is a relationship-based business, and we need to focus on the relationships, and we need to continue and focus on making sure that we are the expert in our market, and we provide great service, and we disconnect the noise for our clients, and make sure that they have an awesome transaction or an awesome experience for us, because that will lead to more business. So the fundamentals of our business are very simple. It's just providing great service, being professional, and just creating more opportunities and relationships. And this is what I would focus on if I was an agent right now.
Thank you.
Awesome. Ty? Did we lose you? Ty?
Sorry, guys. Yeah, Matt's
Tamir.
gonna speak.
Hey, Tamir, it's Matthew Ruff here from Langley, BC. How you doing? Thanks for coming on.
Great, thanks.
So I joined the end of December, and it is very much something that I'm pretty passionate about, just because I'm a firm believer things happen for a reason, and I'm going to go into it a whole other topic later on a podcast with Ty probably. But my question to you is, what does Tamir see Rio looking like in 5 years' time?
The answer can be in different shapes and forms. It can be in number of agents, it can be in market positioning, all of those things. In 5 years, I want Real to be the company that people choose because they understand that working with Real or with a Real agent results in a better transaction, if you're an agent and if you're a consumer. So what I'm trying to say here is that I want technology to have a bigger differentiation, both for you and for your clients. And I want the technology that we're building to provide you a huge competitive advantage with consumers. And this is something that we haven't delivered yet, but I think that the next 5 years are going to be about that. So hopefully that answers.
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome.
Thanks.
We've hit 10:30. Does anybody else have one last question before we let Tamir go?
I think Lena had a question, Adam.
Lena? She's still on?
Hi, Tamir. Thank you.
Hi,
I'll be
Lena.
quick. My question is smaller than all of these last few questions. So basically what I'm curious is, because almost all of us, we have websites, right? That's how some of us get leads. And this is a pain point for me, as like I'm really, I love the idea of lead gen. So the question is that, are we going to have a technology that we're able to embed in a website, something where Leo can withdraw the lead and put it into a CRM where, the real CRM? And so it's less work for me because now I use a follower boss and Zapier and all that. So just looking for an easier life, let's put it this way.
Yes, there will be a Leo widget that you can embed in your website. Leo will be on your website. Leo will be able to have conversations with the visitors to the website, and Leo will take that information and put it into your ARM on Reason. So all of the leads will be there.
Beautiful, thank you. When? Can we ask when, roughly?
I think that we're looking at 6 month max.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we've had 10:31. Tamir, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate your time here. I don't know if everybody caught this. Tamir's in Tel Aviv right now, so obviously geopolitically a lot going on. So to make the time to have us on and have him on has been awesome. So thank you so much for this. We're all super excited. I know Real, for myself, I can speak for myself. I don't want to overstate it, but it's changed my life. And so I thank you for that. And I know other people share that sentiment. So thank you for being on.
Thank
and
you,
we look
Adam.
forward to more success.
Thank you, everybody. Really
Thanks,
enjoyed.
Tamir.
And thank you for being a part of Real. Thanks.
Thank you,
Tamir.
Thank you.